Hello, this is feedback session for July. Sorry for a little misunderstanding yesterday. I'm already in August. I'm planning August. I'm thinking about August. And yesterday I wrote the feedback August. So I'm like, and what are everybody writing? What did I miss wrong? And I'm like, oh my God, it's only July and I'm already finishing August. So sorry for a little misunderstanding. It's July, feedback for July, and I have your paintings, your wonderful projects and process photos. So sounds are switched off, so nobody is disturbing us, and I will share screen. Okay, here I have first graphite study, and I just want to tell you, it's a very interesting thing. This month, like never before, I have lots of students that are going back to basics. Like they have painted for some while and they like hit some kind of block or wall and they think that they're not evolving and they are going back to basics. Some are feeling frustrated that something isn't working out, and just keep painting, breathe in, breathe out, because it happens. These step backs happen. Especially I had the same issue when I just started. I straight away jumped to, like, for example, you would jump to advanced section. You straight away want to paint more complex paintings, more beautiful flowers, and you just think, oh, I don't need those basics. Those are for art schools. Those are for kids, and especially pencils. Nobody likes pencils. And then at some point, you feel that you are missing something. You feel that you are missing some basics, some basic knowledge. And going back to basics is a process that everybody reaches that. No matter how long you are painting, at some point you're like, oh, I need to study some basics. I need to get fundamentals, because basics are like a fundament for a building. You can't build a house without the base. You can't start straight away with the roof. So first you need base, then for first ground, second ground, and so on. So I have encouraged students, don't quit, maybe start something simple, maybe do something simple, and keep work, keep studying. It's not that something is happening bad or other, it's just a matter of knowing the basics. So here we have a graphite study of a leaf, and here student wrote that she needs to explore other paper because this paper can't receive graphite. And I think this is my sketchbook that has 300 GSM. And I was also, and I'm doing a lot of graphites on this paper, and I can tell you that this paper does receive graphite. It receives a lot of graphite. I don't know if I have somewhere here, but I had this practice done. No, I will not find this quickly. I had this practice done on the same paper, and it receives. It's only a matter of what kind of strength, softness pencil grades you are using. Are these graphite pencils or colored pencils? But this paper, I can assure you, it can receive a lot of graphite layers. And here you already did a very good job. I would say you are somewhere in the middle of the process of these leaves. So I would recommend taking much softer pencil at this stage and do more shading in the shadows. Like this leaf goes way darker, this leaf goes darker, this goes darker, this goes darker. Another mistake that it would be nice that you would avoid that is outlining leaves, petals, no matter what. Don't outline. Those outlines are not helping separate each leaf. We see in the reference there are no dark outlines here. There's no dark outlines. There's only shadow. This leaf is separated from this leaf with a shadow. not with the line, but with the shadow. And if these lines are slightly messing up the whole composition, they are taking away attention, unnecessary attention they're taking, and work more on contrast. Building contrast, that is the thing that makes something three-dimensional. That is the thing that separates one area from another. And take softer pencil, 2B, 4B, 5B, 6B, and gradually add layers. This paper can receive. It's a matter of what kind of pencils you are using. If, yeah, and I am doing all graphite studies on this paper and it works really nice. So look, here this leaf goes darker. You can freely add more darkness here, here, down here. Look at these leaves. This goes darker. This definitely, look how dark it is. And then you can place side by side and compare. When you are doing for some while and you are looking at the same subject, you start to not see the details, not see tonal values. Okay, then we have some green peas. This was a fun tutorial this month. I really enjoyed it. It's like stepping away from flowers and all the pinks and reds and still doing some greens. I know that many of you don't like greens, or maybe not don't like, but find it hard. I also find it quite challenging to do greens because there's so many shades of different greens. And yeah, you need to really... Okay, so what my suggestions would be here. I would add more contrast to the inner part of this pod, and shadows on, look, this side, the right side of the piece are have a little bit of, they are slightly covered with the right side of the pod and casting shadow on the piece. So they're not even everywhere. There is this cast shadow. I think you forgot it. You see, you need a little bit more of shadow here. If you squint your eyes, you will see like almost there's a line that separates light area from shadow. Okay, then a little bit more here. If we compare, for example, this area to this, then it is darker. You have it here. Even this part looks darker than this one, but in a reference photo, this part is darker. And yeah, and the more you will build contrast for the cast shadow area, the brighter these spots of light will appear. Don't touch them, just build contrast and shadow, and those spots will appear lighter. Then we have more. Okay, here we have very visible this cast shadow area. And good darkness here. Same problem with this one. It can go a little bit darker. And it looks very good. Maybe. No, just a little bit here. Again, it's preferences of likes and dislikes. I would make this transition of cast shadow area to the other side of the P more smoother, not so crisp. Here it is crisp, and then it's here, for example, like this one. This looks very good. You have gradual transitions, but here you have very crisp edge. I would add, and also in the here we also see that there's no crisp edge of the shadow. Just a tiny detail of that, but otherwise it's looking very, very beautiful. Then we have more. Here we have another one. I would add more work, a little bit more work here. For example, don't rush with details. These lines in the middle, they are too crisp and too visible. You jump straight away to detailing when it is done more closer to the end. And another thing, it looks like your peas are going over the pod. The pod looks like going under the peas, but in reality, pod is going over the peas and casting shadow on the piece. So what I would do is carefully add darkness here to cover this light part. This painting can receive more layers and you can work more. I would also say you are somewhere in the middle of the process. It doesn't look finished, but it's a good start. So add more shadows here. Carefully put those peas under the pod and also shadow here. What I can see, a slight issue that appeared here, you added shadow, but it looks like there's a little bit was too much water and it's dissolved in the area, creating this crisp edge of the shadow. Maybe when you started to add, it was closer to piece, and when it started to dry, it started to go to the edges. It happens when you have too much water. Try to use smaller amount of water. And here, when you add shadow, it's almost like you are drawing with pencils. It's how dry the brush and the amount of watercolors should be. Yes, so definitely add more shadow here. You see this part here? It's way darker, and as you will add shadow here, the piece will appear more three-dimensional and connected to this whole section. Also, be careful with these dark outlines. There's no need to add them. Like, if you look carefully here at the reference, there's no dark outline. It's very tempting to outline subjects thinking that it will somehow I don't know, separate them or, but what it does, it's slightly messes with the eyesight. It creates the feeling that it's some kind of edge, but there's no edge. There's the round part of the pod which doesn't end where we see it. It goes way beyond our eyesight. But this line indicates that it stops there. It's finished. That is the edge and that's it. So be careful with these edges. And yeah, details are more to the finishing part. Do we have more piece? I will put down this reference. Then we have a fluffy peony some years ago. Here's the same issue with outlining. Separating petals with outline, but not with shadow. It should be other way around. If you study carefully this reference, you will notice there's no dark edges. In fact, the edges are super light because they are almost white at the edge and they becoming darker closer to the flower center. And that is the perfect thing to use shadow. Let's take a closer look. It's not zoom here. Now let's take a look at this big petal. So the edge is completely white, and then the shadow of the other petal creates, helps to indicate this petal and separates one from each other. Not the line, but the shadow of the other petal helps bring closer, pop from paper, the upper petal. What is here? This is called cast shadow. It's not the edge of this leaf, it's shadow on this, not leaf, petal, sorry. This is not the edge of this petal, but it's the shadow of this petal. It's cast shadow. And here again, look, this inner part of the petal is so dark, and you would need only to add darkness here, not the outline, but the shadow over here. Then there's no dark edge here, there's shadow here. So you are working on this petal rather than outlining this petal. This is the thing that everybody does. I did, everybody does. That is normal. I'm just showing you what you need to avoid and try to paint differently. It will definitely help, because these outlines are not helping create the flower and petals to look separate, to look three-dimensional. That is not helping. That's only making them looking flat and losing the realistic look of the flower. This flower is fluffy, and these lines are only making it look flat. So for example, here you didn't add lines, but you worked on shadow. That's how you should be doing everywhere. Don't rush, paint in slowly. Better to, like, you have time, for example, 1 hour. Don't try to finish the whole painting in 1 hour or finish half of the painting. Maybe that 1 hour, for example, my speed, if I am working normally, slowly, not for tutorials, approximately one petal is 1 hour. Of course, if the petal is super small, then it will go faster. But for example, such a big petal is 1 hour. This petal, 1 hour. This tutorial was more looser, I think. It wasn't so detailed and it went faster, but normally 1 petal, 1 hour, 1 leaf, 1 hour. This is my speed, and I'm painting quite fast. So you should be painting even slower, especially in the beginning of your journey, artistic journey. Okay. Then we have orchid cactus. What just I did? What is that? Can I do like this? No. What was that? What did I just did? Okay, I will get oh, here they are. This is 1 and this is 2. Oh, they're back. They're back. Sorry. So here we have orchid cactus. Wonderfully done. And the beauty of this tutorial was that I was painting it in many parts. Of course, I can finish it in 1 go. I can finish it in a few days, but that wasn't the point of this tutorial. And we are painting now the other big composition, and I'm also dividing it in parts, and I'm encouraging you, don't rush, take breaks between parts. Then you will see how slowly and accurately your work is being made. And this tutorial was also, we started in end of January or February and finished in June, and somebody finished it faster. That's okay, but I encourage you, don't rush. And here's this result. Wonderfully done work, no rushing. What I would recommend, maybe adding shadow over this area, because it's down, it's underneath, and there's this whole area is slightly darker compared to this one. For example, this is much lighter compared to this one. And you have it slightly lighter, but they're quite similar in tonal values, so this part should go darker, slightly darker. Then also this part should go darker, like here. Look, this part is darker compared to this one. You have them both identical, but this is in the shadow because the flower head is casting shadow on this area. Now let's move to the middle one, which is beautiful, contrasty. Maybe this one could go darker, like some tiny details of comparing one with the other. And it's so, like, don't misunderstand, your work is wonderfully, beautifully, super accurately done, but I'm just pointing you out maybe what you should train your eyesight. When you are working, you need to compare. You finish your work, you step away, hide it somewhere, and after day or week, come back and start to compare by, like, this part can go darker, like compared to this one, because again, this part is in the shadow. The big one is casting shadow here, so it's slightly darker. Then this part can go darker compared to this one. Look, this part is lighter compared to this one, and you have them quite identical. This flower is round and there's shadow on each of the side. But beautifully done, wonderful, bravo. Hope you are on to the next big composition challenge. Strelitzia that we started. Soon will come part 2, and we will continue the big one. I think this was it for the. Then we have Magnolia. And beautiful, soft. Okay, this white edge that we see beautiful here, as flower goes down, it's becoming smaller and light is not reaching there. Look how darker it goes. So it means that these lines are also going into the shadow, and here just need to add very transparent layer of darker color to get this part slightly in the shadow. If we look, you see these edges are here super light, and then they're becoming darker because it goes to the shadow. Also, this part of the flower, this part is way darker because it's completely away from light, and this all part is way darker. This all part would be nice to have more contrast. And also this one, they are like going thinner at the bottom and under the bigger flower, which is casting shadow. You said you didn't know how to get this fluffy, and you did it completely amazing with lots of tiny brush strokes. You see, tiny brush strokes. That's how we get the fluffy and hairy areas. I did, I think, some while ago tutorial on a butterfly which had a fluffy hairs. The same technique, lots and lots of tiny brush strokes to create. And then if you want, you can get like if you would have slightly darker maybe base, then these little hairs can be added with the super fine white gouache lines, or just teeny tiny details, but that is not so important. You did it really good. It looks hairy, it looks fluffy, just as it is. Also, this area is super beautiful, so detailed. And yeah, only thing about this all bottom part of the magnolia flower, but everything else looks very good and beautiful. I'm looking at only this inner part of the flower. It is slightly darker. Look, this how I can see it is there's this white edge, and then the inner part is more darker violet, and you have this white edge but almost not so contrasty the inner part. You could add just very transparent layer of for example, this color there. It looks very, like this color looks very close to this one. And this is done by her own reference, which is super amazing. Then we have a student who already finished Strelitzia. That's okay. You done a really good work. Just, yeah, my encouragement, don't rush. Take it slowly. You can, for example, work on multiple projects simultaneously, and that will help you switch your attention, not get so focused on one. When I'm I had projects, big projects finished in few days. For example, if I have a deadline or if I had a commission and I needed to hand it over, then yeah, I would work all day, all evening and all night just to finish it. But normally, and if you would study other botanical artists, they are painting for months. For example, Fiona Strickland, she's a wonderful botanical artist, and she's painting one work a year, sometimes 2 years. And it's not like it's super huge. It's bigger than we are usually working, but she's taking time. She's doing it slowly, accurately, and like enjoying that process, but it's do not rush. But you did a wonderful job, wonderful. Yellows are hard and there's so many details. You have a really nice transitions here from reds to greens. What you have missed, what we will discuss in, I don't know, in next part or maybe in part 3. And I think I will try next month to maybe upload 2 parts. I will see how will go the second part. Maybe I will do longer part 2. I can see that you're all eager to paint this composition. So these areas will be quite tricky, the green ones, because we have there this cover of white, slightly visible white spots, and that will be achieved with layers. First, super transparent layers, and then slowly we will build next layers, slightly avoiding some areas. This will be a slightly tricky part, and you created everything just slightly even. But that's okay. That's okay. What else? I would add more here, this beautiful cast shadow you see here. I would add it a little bit more visible. This will also it will help to create this 3-dimensional look. What else? I would add more shadow here. Now look here. This head is casting shadow on the stem. So I would add more shadow here. What else? Now look carefully at all these blue details. These are, I think, stamens, anthers. I forgot. This is a very complicated plant. In reality, there's so many details. I can't remember all of them. Like here, look, this cast shadow, this part is casting shadow on this longer stem. So you are missing shadow here, then shadow on the back. Now let's look at this one. Also more darker here and shadow here. So what I would do with your work, I would say it's not finished, but you are doing really wonderful work. I would go more and go over each section. For example, some time already has passed that you finished it and your eyes are already rested from this one. So I would go over each detail and look for shadows, where to build contrast. That will help this painting look more realistic. Like spend, I don't know, it doesn't matter how many hours or days, just go over each section very carefully and slowly. Also yellows, there are more contrast and there will be some darker yellows, for example, adding Indian yellow with a little touch of Perlin maroon and going over some parts like cast shadows area. I will definitely add more. You did a wonderful job with lights and all the movements of those petals. Wonderful. Don't lose that. Don't touch the lightest parts. Here and there, add like lines of darker colors. Here, look how this is going, and work on those blues. Those blues are much darker in the composition. So I would like to see this work next end of August with new updates. Then we have cornflower. And this is quite complicated work with lots and lots of petals. And you did a wonderful job of so many details here. Mm. Uh, uh, a little bit more work on stem. This is quite often a very neglected area when spending so much time on the whole composition and then this just going, oh, the stem is area is so small, I would just go quickly and add the stem. But this stem catches the attention more than the flower because it looks unfinished. That's the thing of those small details. Pay the same attention to small details as you do for the flower head. Because I know you already maybe was tired of flower head and wanted to quickly finish. I've been there, and I know this is a very common issue with all artists to neglect some areas, thinking like the main subject is catching the attention, and that's it. So I would add more layers to the stem. Then for the petals, more finer details of contrast, like let's have a look at this area here. So what I'm doing when I'm working, I'm constantly running, my eyes are running from the reference to my painting. I'm looking for details, and it's important to have a very precise outline so you are not losing your details, you're not losing your petals. And what happened here, it looks like you lost some lines. Like I can see that this petal goes nicely here and you lost that line. And then there's the petal. Look at this petal, it goes here and it's there's the shadow, and you also somewhere lost it because there's shadow here should be, and shadow here. Look, shadow here and shadow here. So this work is super complicated, and it really asks for attention to study each section. Again, like the previous ones I mentioned for students, don't rush. Take time. No need to finish in 1 or 2 painting sessions. Better, for example, take a goal. You have a time, like I will work only on this section and that's it. I will spend time, I will give attention and love to this one particular section and that's it. I'm not aiming for finished work, or I'm not aiming to finish as much as possible. No, pick one small area and work on it. Then we have yellow peony. So yellows, first of all, are quite tricky, and you did a wonderful job. Your peony doesn't look dirty. Yellow pigment, very fast. Also with Strelitzia, you've done a wonderful job. The yellows don't look dirty because yellows are very quickly looking dirty, and many artists avoid painting yellows. Here you are keeping clean. Strelitzia is also very clean, and that's one of the main issues with yellows. I tend to avoid yellows as much as possible, but there are some paintings that really draws my attention. Here, the center part asks for more attention. Carefully look how these things are formed. They are built, growing from the center, and there's shadow in between them to separate them and make them more precise. And that's more earthy. I'm not usually judging colors, as you maybe noticed. You can hand over me blue, rose instead of yellow, and I will not judge colors, but sometimes I give some advices just to consider, because there are color preferences and we see sometimes colors differently. So my suggestion here, this center part is more earthy green. Your is going more to turquoise green, and that doesn't look quite natural. And this area is definitely more earthy green. And to get earthy greens is when you mix green, doesn't matter, yellow with blue, green with yellow, you always add a teeny tiny touch of red pigment. But when you are adding that, be extra careful, so you're not adding red too much, then it can go very quickly brown. But when you add teeny tiny amount of red, then you will instantly get any green mix more earthy. I would work more carefully on shadows between petals. And again, here we also have this little issue with outlining. Be careful with that. There are shadows, not outlines. Like, let's look. Like this part is very subtle. There are, for example, here we have a very complex transition. We have shadow on the inner part, then it becomes lighter, and then there's shadow on the outer part. So what is happening here? You have shadow only inside and leaving outside light. But there are different shifts in each petal, and they are different in each petal. So also here you see shadow, light, and shadow. So to separate these three petals would need more shadow here and careful shadow there, leaving the middle part light. Then this part is also very tricky. And there's a lot of green there, because yellow petals in peonies they're transparent, and they are showing green from the very vibrant leaves, and that green is seeing through here. And there's this divided area of the petal which you slightly missed, and then there's shadow here. So you did a wonderful work by doing this. This is a very complex painting. So I would suggest you go a little bit more with some details there. And if you want a background to help your composition, look here, the background is much darker, and it's complementing flower, making flower appear more brighter. And you can add more, especially on this upper part, you can add more layer to make this yellow part more vibrant. Contrast between darker background and lighter flower will make this contrast, and the flower will pop instantly. Then we have this practice of rose, and this rose practice first is graphite and then watercolor. I hope you did graphite as well, because the assignment and how I would say, the main thing about this practice is first to do graphite and then to do watercolor, because graphites are easier and you will start to understand more tonal values, and then you do watercolor in one color. I think it's other way, but okay. So more tonal values would be nice, like shadows here and there. Let me see. Oh, I think I need to turn it. Let's rotate left. Oh yeah, now it's there. So again, no need to outline. No need to outline. What is happening here? Instead of this line, you could add shadow here, here, and that would separate these two petals. Then you add shadow here, and that would separate these two petals. Then you are adding shadow here, and you are separating these petals. Shadow, separating. Don't rush with these veins. That's not the point here, and that's the details. But think more about how to build tonal valves. But this is really good. You are making progress, and I can see that. I would just suggest, if you haven't done it, do the graphite practice for this one. Okay. Then we have parrot tulip, the back side of the parrot tulip. A little reminder, when you take a photo, please hold your phone and your painting right above each other. Then I will have more better visibility of your work. Now it's under angle, and it's quite hard to see everything in its perfect condition. So this one, I would add more layers to the stem, because stem is much darker here and it stands out. I would add shadow here, making this petal more rounder. Also, this this side of the petal can go darker. This one. And careful with the gray shadow. It can go pretty quickly looking dirty. And as, for example, like you are adding this shadow from the stem. Shadow starts at the very base of the subject that is creating the shadow. What you have here, the stem and shadow are attached, detached, unattached. So you need to attach shadow to the stem, because stem is casting shadow on tulip surface, but you have here space between that, and that is creating some awkward, it looks like there's just a spot on the petal, but in reality you see that this stem is casting shadow on the tulip, and this is the part where the shadow on both, on the tulip and on the stem, are the darkest. Let's close up. This is the area, the darkest one. There's a very nice darker edge here, so look more for details. Well, this is wonderfully done. You can go and do a little bit more on this tulip, and it will only add more realistic look. Then we have a mandarin. And then we have a mandarin, and I think I need to turn this one as well, right? Yeah, now it's right. Okay, so carefully I would add shadow here more, and here, and a little bit here, not all the way, but just look, this goes a little bit wider. Then this part, like these white things on the fruit are very white in that part which is facing the light. But in the shadow, also those white things on the fruit are in the shadow, and they are darker. What you have equally, all these white areas are light, but they are light here, and they should go slightly darker here. You started here, which is good, so you need to continue all the way here and also here. And then you see you have this part completely, they are together, but let's have a look here. This part on the peel is much darker, you see? But wonderful, wonderful. This was also an advanced painting, and quite difficult. I would recommend you a little bit more work here. Okay. Then we have beautiful variegated rose. Again, painting and photo right above, not under angle, above. Okay, but wonderful. This reference it looks tricky in the beginning, but in reality, this is quite manageable also for beginners. This is I very like variegated flowers because they tend to look complex, but in reality, they are quite simple to do. Again, problem with outlining. Your rose would look much natural if you would avoid these lines. There's no lines unless maybe like, let's look closer, slightly closer. Like maybe here are crisp edge lines and maybe a little bit here, but definitely not here. Definitely not here. And these lines, like you added a line here and line there, and it looks like this is unattached from the main petal. You don't need to add those dark lines, really. They're not helping. They're definitely not helping. Without those lines, it would look more natural. Then look for the shadows, like here you added nicely, but also here would be nice shadow. Look, it is here. Then this bottom part is in the shadow, so you miss shadow here. What else? This is more, this area is darker here. And a little bit here. Look, you slightly missed something. What is happening here? So this curve has shadow on top and on the bottom and light in the middle. So you would need to add a little bit shadow on top, and then there's shadow more here. So your work, I would recommend to work a little bit more. It looks that extra hour would be really nice to add some like shadows. And what else is add those spots that you have. Try to add also some very tiny ones. Like you added a lot of those bigger spots, but look, there's some tiny like little dots, like thin lines, like you started here and here. Also would be nice here, and try to avoid making those spots equal, like you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 all are lined up in one direction, in one line, but here there's no such thing. And when I'm adding spots, I'm not telling you to completely do the same as is in the reference, but you need to catch the idea of those spots. Each spot here is different. They have the direction of the flower growth, and then one spot is longer, other is shorter, one is thinner, other is thicker. So don't try to make them all identical. Okay, then we have a chocolate, strawberry juicy chocolate. Wonderfully done, wonderfully, very juicy, beautiful leaves. Okay, so shadow here, because this chocolate part is casting shadow on the here on the lower part because it goes down and there's shadow on the bottom, like here. Then this part is way darker than this part. And you have it here the same as it is here. This, you can just a very light wash of color and it will instantly look like it is going further. This is the closest to us, which is the lightest, and then everything else starts to go darker because it goes rounder and away from us. The chocolate part, everything looking great, juicy, detailed. Nothing I would I would change nothing. Then this flower, oh, sorry. This leaf can go darker. Definitely can go darker, and these can go darker because they are deeper in this composition. Yeah, these can go darker, this can go darker, this can go darker, the bottom part can go darker, and this one. Don't touch this area. It looks very good. And the chocolate part also. And there was this a little concern. I received some messages from students, followers, that this chocolate tutorial, somebody did it as well, other teacher, and it's a big no. Everything is good. The other artist even did this tutorial much earlier than me. And why this happened, we don't know each other, we didn't copy each other, we didn't compete with each other. This is a bought reference photo from a stock web page where you can buy references, and when you buy, you pay for it. I did a tutorial, and other also can buy. I don't know, designers, artists, any of you can go and buy a reference. It doesn't mean that somebody copied other or steal the reference from other. No, this is a bought reference for which I paid money, and I did a tutorial. I didn't know that the other artist did as well. She did it in a different technique, but there's no issue with that. Okay, then we have a leaf painting that we did Zoom session this month. So let's have a look. If I squint my eyes, I would go a little bit darker with this side. Maybe it's already darker, but a little bit more would be nice. What else? It looks very good. It looks very good. Like.
Thank you, and you know my history with leaves.
Yeah. You are very, very changing with leaves. You are doing a lot of practice, and that is showing. That is definitely showing. Something happened here overboard?
No, I tried to erase with, and the thing was dirty.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. So what you can do, you can make the ending parts of the veins slightly thinner. They're almost like disappearing, but that's already, those veins are thin. They're thin. They're good. Very good. Yeah, just a little bit darker, like here. Look, maybe here shadowed. Yeah, this is the area that could go. But I'm just trying to give you some feedback here. It's already very good. Then we have landscape from June painting challenge. And what I can suggest here is what you can do, which will instantly make it more vibrant, is you take a mix of, I think you have red violet. Yeah, you can go straight with the red violet, maybe add a tiny touch of blue to make it more to the violet side, not too strong, and do a watery wash of that color and glaze over the whole area of lavender field. Maybe don't add it in between, but definitely glaze over the lines of lavender field, and you will see how it will instantly become much vibrant. But you have details, you have very accurate details of tree, of these lavenders and rocks and splashes. Wonderful work. I would just suggest to add this wash of red violet with a little touch of ultramarine blue, and it will instantly become more richer and vibrant as those lavenders are. Then the hydrangea. Oh, this is a complex one. This was a wonderful painting, but a complex one. Okay, so wonderfully done. Definitely lots of details, lots of work is being put in this painting. Leaf is just wow. Leaf is so detailed and so amazingly like lots of details. What I would suggest with leaf is if I squint my eyes, I would see that this leaf is slightly it's not completely flat, it's slightly curved. And this section is in some places darker than this whole section. If you squint your eyes, you will notice that this half is slightly darker than this one. So what you can do is you take a very light wash of this color that you have and glaze it over the whole area of the sleeve, and then wipe out from the lightest parts like here and here. And it will instantly make it more curved. Then about flower head. This whole flower head was painted by looking at each little flower head separately, but closer to the end, I told that we need to look at this flower as one whole flower head, not looking at each section separately, but as a one whole. And as a one whole, it is round, and there is lighter part, this all, and there's darker part, even though that each section has its own darker and lighter areas, but as a whole, to create the illusion of the roundness, this area goes darker. And what I would suggest also to add more darkness to this section, especially look how dark this bottom part goes, and you can add more layers here. Don't touch this area. It is, as it is light, it's very good. Maybe just a few details. But this area can go slightly darker, and it will make the illusion of the wholeness of this flower and the three-dimensional look. But wow, already a lot of work and details are put in this painting. And you can leave it as it is. These are just my suggestions. It already looks finished, just details if you wish. And oh, I wanted to show you also another artist that went to basics. She's painting already quite some years with me, and she decided to go and do some basics. And it's not just like you are hitting some wall and you feel like blocked. I also, time to time, when I'm making a tutorial of some basics, that is my own practice of basics. Like at some point I feel I need to practice something easy, I need to do something basic. That's when I create a basic tutorial, a basic practice. That is also when I practice, and I then share with you that as a reminder, do something basic. And here she did with watercolors different gradual transitions from we did this study with graphite pencils, and also you can do with watercolors to create different values. Then also she did these values in different forms, in different colors. So this is a wonderful exercise to play around. Maybe you have some watercolor leftovers in on your mixing palettes, then you can do some practice. You have a spare sheet of paper, do the practice. So time to time. It doesn't matter if you are like stuck at some point, but doing these simple practices will help. Then I have another request today about background. I did a tutorial on Instagram. Of course, it's fast because there are limited amount of time. So when you take a photo of your painting, and we do paintings on white background, then when we take a photo, white paper becomes very dark, it becomes gray, sometimes blue. It depends on the time of the day when it happens, but it's definitely not white. What I do, there's an app called, there's an app called Snapseed. I will write in chat section here, Snapseed. It's free. I don't pay, and I think there's no paid option of this app. So you download this app. It's called Snapseed. So you open it, and then first appears this screen with a big plus sign. You click on the plus, then the gallery on the bottom part opens up a gallery of your recent work. You look for the image you want to edit. So I take, for example, one of my last paintings, and it opens on the screen. Then there's on the bottom part, there's section tools. You click on the tools, and then there's this selective. You click on the selective, and then it looks like there's nothing on the screen. You, with the finger, you touch the area you want to make whiter. So I touch the area I want to make whiter, and then if you slide your finger to the right or to the left, then that area appears lighter or darker. Lighter or darker. So, and then you see on the upper part, there's this brightness values going back to the darker or to the lighter. So I did lighter, and then I click this plus sign on the bottom part, there's plus, and then I touch the screen again where I want to make other whiter spots. So I click down here, then again I slide my finger to the right, and that area becomes lighter. Then again plus sign, touch different area on this, and then again I slide, and then again plus sign, touch the screen and slide. So try this. Sometimes when I don't get enough of light, I can't put again on the same spot, so I check the mark that it's done. Then I go back to tools, then I click again selective, and then again can place again in that spot, in the same spot, and then again slide, and that area becomes even lighter. So
Kristine, do you go to 0 on the brightness or 100 plus? When you're sliding your finger,
no,
says
never to 100. It's too much. Then it will look like it's completely too how would say, too exposed.
okay.
If you, I don't know if you will see, if I will go to 100, it's too bright. It looks unnatural. So I approximately go +9, +10 from 0.
And it doesn't make it a white background. It just lightens the background.
It lightens up the background. If you want to completely remove the background, then there are different options. I don't know if you know, there's canva.com. There's easy option of removing background. Of course, Photoshop, but I use very often Canva. Then I completely remove the background of the subject. I can show you here how. Wait a second, I will open Canva.
Kristine, do you have to load the pictures on that app, or will it pick up pictures that you have on your phone?
Where? In Canva or in Snapseed?
Snapseed. You
Snapseed
have
on the
to,
phone, and it will pick up the photos that you have in your library.
Mhm.
Photo
okay,
library.
that's what I wanted to know. Okay,
Yeah. You
Thank
don't
you.
need to, like, I will close.
you don't have to upload your picture to Snapseed. It will
When
take it from your,
So when I open it, the
Uh-huh.
plus sign appears. So I click on the plus, and then here is my library.
Mhm.
okay, it will pick up pictures from your phone.
Yeah, then I will pick the picture. Then again, tools, selective, and I can also sometimes when I'm changing this brightness in the back, sometimes the main painting can change. What I do then, again, tools, and then there's tune image on the upper left corner. And I slide up and down, and there's different options like brightness, contrast, saturation, ambience, highlight, shadows, and warmth. And then I also slide and check and compare with my original and try to adjust closer to the original. Sometimes,
Okay.
for example, you took a picture early in the morning, super early in the morning, then everything tend to look more bluish. And then I took a photo and I see that colors are slightly off, and I don't have other option of taking a photo. Then I will also use the Snapseed, and then I will tune the image. For example, if it's, for example, this is too yellowish, too warm, I will go to the warmth. And if I will go slide to the left, it will become more bluer. If I slide more to the right, it will become more yellowish, warmer. So you can play with those things. Let me share your screen with the Canva. So here I'm in the Canva. Like, let's from the beginning. So when you open Canva, it looks like this, and you choose like different options of your thing you want to put on. So there are uploads, and here you need to upload photos from your computer. Also, Canva is on the phone. Then you need to upload photos from your phone. So, for example, let's take something, this one that we are doing. And then I go to edit image, and here's the background remover. And background is away. Sometimes it doesn't take the entire background. For example, I will show you when it doesn't. Here I have my hand attached to the main subject. And when I click edit image, it will leave my hand there because it's in the same placement as the flower. But then what you can do, there are these lines. You click on them, and there's an eraser, and I can erase my hand, and it will be away. You can even, the brush size, make it smaller if you like need to erase smaller details. And then if you erase too much, then you can restore, and you go back and restore. Yeah, you can play with this one. And then voila, you have removed the background for these poppies, even with the hand. And you have only nothing is disturbing the composition. You can only look at this one. And also like here, it will also, I think, leave hand there. Yeah, and also, yeah. So this is what I use. I use Snapseed to brighten background and to remove background, like you see latest reference photos without background. I go and do this in Canva. If it's more complex, I do this in Photoshop. But first, I will always test Canva because it's faster and sometimes more precise than Photoshop.
Well,
Thank
thank you.
No, it's Canva. More questions?
I love your accent.
Thank
Oh,
you.
my accent? Oh, gosh. That's the Boston in me, I guess. When you send out a line drawing, could you have it be, could you put the size of it? Because sometimes when I print it out, it just prints it automatically 8 by 11. And I know that's not the actual size. On some of your tutorials, you have the size and some you don't. So I think the older ones you don't,
Yes,
maybe,
I
and the
don't.
newer ones you do.
New ones
So-
all have. Like almost 2 years, I had this issue, and some student pointed this out, and
Really
as
need to
she
get on
did,
that couch and get out of
last
this
2
video.
years
are you?
have all have sizes. So maybe you are
Okay.
doing a very older ones. There I don't have sizes, and I also don't have any more, for example, that painting, and I can't measure
Yeah,
it to be more precise. But yeah, automatically it will come out A4 size, and then you need to adjust in your printer settings. But last almost, I think, 2 years, all have sizes.
yeah. I'm doing some early ones because I'm doing a lot of beginner ones
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
didn't have the size, so.
Definitely make
Okay.
smaller. It's easier to paint smaller size. It's
Right.
harder to paint bigger size. So better make it smaller rather than bigger.
Okay, thank you.
More questions?
When is our next
No,
lesson?
now it's
Which lesson?
Our online school.
Online school we will have in the beginning of August. I think it will be next Tuesday or even Monday. I will upload because I am at the end of next week. I'm going on a little work trip, and I think I will make the online painting in the beginning of the week because then I can't do it later, and then we will have next leaf.
Okay, thank you. We'll see you later.
Yeah, Aida, you were asking something?
thank
not
you
me.
for your
No.
detail explanation. It's really helped me, especially the color mixing. And so thank you so much,
Yeah,
Kristine.
color
I
mixing is my problem too. It's like,
Yeah.
that's why I got the color mixing notebook and I'm doing those tutorials that are in the notebook to kind of figure out the colors, because when Kristine is painting and I'm trying to paint with her, my colors are way off. And so it makes me feel uncomfortable, like I'm not doing something right. Even though I know we can do it in other colors, I just want to get it, the color mix right. So it makes me crazy, just saying.
It's normal. It's normal. Don't get too caught up on that. It's a matter of time. And I also have, so this mixing notebook has, I think, 9 tutorials of color mixing. Then I can send you, there's on YouTube a whole section of watercolor mixing series I did like some time ago, and there are for greens and browns and violets and reds and more, multiple on greens. So those are also nice to look, but yeah, it will come. It's frustrations for many, and trying to mix huge amount just to keep it all the time steady and consistent. It will not help, but yeah, I know. Don't get too caught on that.
Okay, thank you.
Kristine,
Yes.
I will probably not have that Storizia updated for a couple of months because I'm going to be out of the country for a
Okay.
couple of
Okay.
months.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
will do it, but it might be November before I send it to
Okay.
you.
Okay. No problem.
Okay.
No problem at all.
Okay.
Kristine, you said that you sometimes go back to basics. I logged off from the computer. It's
Yeah.
too much now. At work. And I told Karen that I started reviewing again.
Yeah.
color theory.
Yeah, yeah.
Jesus, hold it. And I bought a new binder or a sketchbook. This is
Yeah.
watercolor paper,
Yes.
just for that.
Yes, yes, amazing.
So-
Amazing. This is a good for look at watercolor mixing. Like I also have a whole sketchbook dedicated to mixing and studying, and it shouldn't be connected to some finished subject, just watercolor mixing.
Yeah.
Just-
Right.
So that's what I've been doing.
Beautiful, beautiful, amazing. You could take a photos and upload to our Facebook group so
Oh, okay.
everybody else could see and maybe get inspired and also do these practices. This is amazing. This is amazing. This will definitely help some other, and this will definitely help you. And especially take more attention to the greens, because your greens are still a lot of yellow in those greens, a lot of yellow. So pay greater attention to greens and to different greens, more bluer greens, more different greens.
Yes, I know that something changed. I don't know when, but I started painting better.
It's changing all the time. It's just maybe
Yes.
you now start to notice that, but those little changes happen all the time, and you don't see them unless you like have a big change. Then you compare the previous one and the latest one, and you say, oh yes, but those changes are happening. They're just small changes.
Small but noticeable. And
Yeah.
I decided to, yes, continue painting. I enjoy it really good, but also going back to theory.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
as an interior designer, that one of my careers that I don't do was color and color theory. So I know a little bit of it, but applying it to watercolor. So
Yeah.
that's what I was beginning to do. And I'm gonna do the whole notebook on just that, because I had your notebook with the color wheels and the other stuff, but it was confusing if I wanted to read. I had flowers and I had, so putting just one.
Yeah. So, and it's not like you are going back to basics. It's more about like you're just learning. You are learning new things, you are trying new things, and yeah, it's very good, always good.
Thank you, ma'am.
Christina, I was just doodling the other day, just putting colors on paper and just not making any sense, but just
wonderful.
Just kind of playing around. And I know, it looks like kindergarten work, but it was just so fun just to get back into painting.
No
with
pressure
colors.
in those doodles. It's like no pressure. You are relaxing. Your eyesight is loving those colors and without pressure of the finished result. Good, very good.
Yeah, trying to do smooth circles.
Yeah, fun. Just play. When I want to play with just watercolors, I call my kids and then they doodle a lot and I doodle with them. It's so fun. It's so relaxing.
It was good. Good advice.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, ladies.
See you later.
I am afraid
Thank
to move.
you.
He is
Thank
under
you
my
so
chair.
much. Thank you
Thank
for
you,
coming.
Kristine.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for your work. See you in our next live. Have a wonderful time.
Bye, Kristine.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.